Hey, how's everyone doing? Today, I'm going to be showing you how to complete the 9 Easter eggs solo and co-op. This Easter egg isn't necessarily hard, it's just very time consuming, so let's just jump into it. Before starting your game, we need to start with a class setup, so for your starting weapon, it's really good to take in the Strife. The equipment should be the Wraithfires to start, just to make your life a little bit easier, but this is going to change at some point because we're going to need to get the Homunculus. The specialist weapon should be the Chakrams because the tier 3 ability is super good for a lot of steps, but when it comes to perks, if you can, try to bring in Dying Wish, Victorious Tortoise, PhD Slider, and Winter's Wail in the modifier slot. Winter's Wail being in the modifier slot helps out for the close quarters parts of the map by giving you a 4th hit activation instead of 3, and when you get hit twice, it will continue to slow zombies around you for a couple seconds. PhD Slider is just good to have because you won't take explosive damage, primarily because we'll be getting the Helion Salvo at a certain point. Elixirs is going to be completely up to you. Any of the classic ones work, but to make this a little bit easier, I brought in Shopping Free, Perkaholic, Raindrops, and Immolation Liquidation. If you don't have these, like I said, anything will work. Finally, a Talisman is not required at all, but if you have one to spare, bring the Supercharged Crystal for an automatic tier 3 specialist weapon. There's a couple things that I'm going to go over to make this as simple as possible before actually getting into the Easter egg steps. When you actually start your game, you're going to need to focus on player challenges, and these are going to be something that is required to do, but you only have to do the first 3. After that, it's your choice on whether or not if you want to do the rest. To activate these, there's going to be 4 flags near each entrance to the towers. Just melee the rope next to them and the flag will drop down, starting the challenges. The challenge order is random, but the actual challenges never change, so headshots could be your first challenge or it could be your 6th challenge. It's just random. In co-op, I'm pretty sure everyone has to do their first 3. In solo, it doesn't matter which flag you go to, it just needs to be one of them. We also need to build the shield, and there's going to be 3 parts with all 3 having 3 different possible spawn locations. The horns can be found in the Tower of Ra across from the perk on this wall, to the right of the gong on this wall, and directly across from that leaning on this pillar. The faceplate can be found in the Tower of Odin on the bottom floor leaning on this pillar looking at Pack-a-Punch, on the middle floor mixed in with the wood shields, or on the top floor across from the perk on this barrel. The final part can be found in the Tower of Zeus on the base of this statue to the left of the perk, on the middle floor directly in front of the stairs and the statue will be holding it, or on the bottom floor to the left side of the stairs on this shelf. When you have all the parts, take them to this workbench in the pit and build it. We need to open Pack-a-Punch as well. On the top floor of all 4 towers, there's going to be a gong. Go to each one of them and interact with it. This will activate a lockdown type of challenge, spawning mini bosses you need to take out. Each tower has a random challenger, so in one game, Zeus can spawn in tigers, and in a different game, Zeus can spawn in brawlers. When you take out all the mini bosses for the tower you chose to do first, the final enemy will drop a head you need to pick up. The head you pick up will also be dependent on what enemies you killed, so tigers will be a tiger head, gladiators will be a gladiator head, so on and so forth. After doing all 4 of the lockdowns, take all the heads to the temple and place them on these spikes in the middle, and Pack-a-Punch will appear in the center. The final thing we can do is get the Death of Orion Wonder Weapon because it will be needed later, and at this point, make sure you have your first 3 challenges done, so that way you can get a free Pack-a-Punch Strife and the Cauldron that will spawn here on this podium in the center of spawn. You don't need the Cauldron now, but you will in a second. Go to the Danu Ra entrance from the temple and look through this barrier. There will be a pot of fire and you need to shoot it to get it to fall over. Now go to the bridge that connects Danu and Ra, and there will be a flaming arrow pointing at one of the 4 towers. Depending on where the arrow is pointing, you need to go into that tower and find a head. The locations are as follows. Danu is going to be in the pool near this tree. Zeus is going to be in one of the 4 corners of the bloodbath. Odin will be underneath the cauldron, and Ra will be in this corner behind the fire pit. When you pick up the head, you now need to go build the acid trap. 2 of the parts are going to be inside the temple, and the first part is to the left of Pack-a-Punch here, and the second one is going to be to the right of Pack-a-Punch here. The third and final part is going to be that cauldron that you got from completing your 3rd challenge. These parts will always be in the same locations, and when you have all 3, come to this skull at the entrance of the Ra tower and build the trap. Place the head down on the metal grate and activate the trap. When it stops, you'll now be able to pick up the scorpion key on the grate. You now need to go get a gold vase from the crowd by keeping your affinity thumb in the green and pointed upward for at least 1 full round. Eventually, the announcer will tell you that you have received a gift from Sir Ket, and the gold vase will be thrown somewhere in spawn on the ground. It's kind of random where it goes, but it'll be in one of the 4 quadrants in the sand. To keep your affinity up, it's pretty easy easy, just stay alive and complete challenges. Don't stand in the fire or go down, as that will make your affinity go down, but when you have both the Scorpion Key and the vase, go to the bottom of the Danu tower and melee this hole in the tree to place the key and interact with the floor underneath to place the vase. Now end the round that you're currently on and go back to the vase. It should now be full of acid. Just pick it up and head to the mystery box. Interact with the left side of the box to poison it, and your first hit will give you the death of Orion. Also, if you're unsure if the box is actually poisoned, just kind of look at it and it should be greenish in color. Alright, so now we can move on to step 1. This Easter egg can't be started until after round 10, so that's why it's good that we did and went over all those other things first. Go down into the temple and look for a skull on the wall that is sticking out a little more than the rest. This particular skull will have a blue symbol on its forehead. There are going to be 12 locations this skull can possibly spawn in, but I'm only going to show you 6 because the 6 that I show you are mirrored on the other side of the room. I'm also going to throw up this image that shows you the layout of the room as well as where the skulls are. Standing in front of Pack-a-Punch looking directly out towards the Danu Ra entrance, there's going to be one on this round wall right here to the right side. Then on the left side on this wall, head up the stairs going towards the flooded crypt, and there will be one at the top of the stairs and another one to the right of that next to the entrance of the flooded crypt. There's going to be another location directly underneath this symbol on the wall going towards the Danu entrance, and another one underneath this symbol going towards the Ra entrance. Again, I'm only showing you those 6 because this image shows you that the locations are mirrored on the other side of the room. When you find the skull, pull out your specialist weapon right next to it and the skull will pop out of the wall for you to pick up. Go into the flooded crypt and there will be 3 different locations in this tiny ass room for a grinder to spawn. Place the skull in the grinder when you find it and shoot 3 fully charged wonder weapon shots at it, and once you can't see the skull inside the grinder anymore, then you know that you can pick up the bone dust. At this point, you need to have your affinity thumb all the way down. To do this, take damage in the fire and spawn, or throw grenades into the crowd if you didn't bring wraith fires in, because it doesn't work with wraith fires. Basically, if you're a horrible zombies player, then this is right up your alley. Eventually, underneath the thumb, it'll say that you've received something, so look around the spawn area for poop, literally poop, that's going to be glowing blue, and walk over to it and pick it up. Now you need to get a gladiator to spawn in, and it's going to be the big guy holding the axes, and you just need to bring him to one of these 2 wooden pyres in the spawn area, and you basically just have to bait him into throwing his axe at the pyre. So position yourself behind it just as he's about to throw it, and he should reposition enough to hit the pyre. A piece of wood should break off, and you just need to pick it up and bring it to the bottom of the Odin tower, place it in this chain above the cauldron, and wait 2 full non-special rounds. So basically dog rounds are the special rounds. After you've waited for 2 full rounds to pass, go back to the piece of wood, and if it's charred, then pick it up, and if it's not, then flip another round. After that, place all 3 of the ingredients you just got into this bowl at the bottom of the Zeus tower and wait another 2 full non-special rounds. When you come back, everything should be steaming and be glowing green, and if it isn't, then flip another round. Pick it up and then come to the bottom of the Danu tower and place the concoction you just made on the floor here. Wait another 2 full non-special rounds and the pile should be steaming green again. At this point, you need to do a couple things to get set up for the rest of your game. Keep spinning the mystery box until you get both the Helion Salvo and the Homunculus, but whatever you do, do not trade out the Wonder Weapon. You still need that for later. If you happen to have Mule Kick, then that's even better. Get another weapon out of the box or buy a wall weapon. This part is important on whether or not you have Mule Kick. If you do, then get Firebomb on your 3rd weapon via Pack-a-Punch, and if you don't, then you'll need to get it on the Helion Salvo. If you end up having to get Firebomb on the Helion Salvo, this is going to take slightly longer because ammo mods tend not to work on the Helion Salvo all that much, for whatever reason. I have no idea, but it'll work all the same eventually. Go back to the bottom of the Danu tower and get a kill with your Firebomb weapon above the ingredients, or the fertilizer, whatever you want to call it. The catch is you have to get Firebomb to activate at the same time, which is why this is tricky with the Helion Salvo. If you've done it correctly, there will be a white flash across your screen, and you can now see that there's going to be cracks on the floor underneath the fertilizer. Stand on the crack for about 15 seconds and your screen will flash white again, and you'll be teleported into an alternate dimension that looks the same, just darker. If this doesn't happen when you stand on the crack, sometimes you have to pull out your specialist weapon. It's kind of weird, but that's just what I've heard. I don't know if that actually works or not. In this alternate area, on each level, there will be a boil glowing red that you need to pop, and it sucks up a ton of time and ammo for each one. You have a short amount of time to do this, so here's what I do to get this done fast every time. As soon as you spawn in, throw a homunculus and wail on the boil with the Helion salvo. When it pops, a max ammo will spawn, pick it up and run up to the second story, then throw another homunculus as fast as you can and do the exact same thing again until the third and final one is popped. Unfortunately, when you pop the last one, it doesn't give you a max ammo, but at this point you'll be teleported back to the main map and you can start on step 2. If you happen to fail during this step also, don't worry, you'll be teleported back and you can just flip the round and stand on the cracks again. For step 2, you have to find 4 symbols hidden around the map and shoot them with your shield. There are 9 possible spawn locations and only 1 symbol will spawn in at a time as far as I know, but here are the locations now. Outside the playable area above the gate you originally came out of at the start of the game, at the top of the Danu tower outside this window on the wall, the bottom floor of the Ra tower outside this window next to the stairs, it'll be on top of this pillar, at the back of the flooded crypt through this door on the wall, in the Danu tunnel through this gate on the wall, in the pit outside this wall on the right side wall, in between the Odin Zeus temple entrances on this arch in the pathway, in the temple through these bars on the left side wall, and on the wall outside the top floor of the Zeus tower. When you find one symbol, it will spawn a gladiator that has a little bit more health and you just need to kill it. But remember, you need to do this 4 times, killing 4 gladiators. Go up to the top of the Ra tower and this obelisk will have a symbol on it. At this point, I highly suggest listening and watching the video to make sure you know what to do, because this will make you rage harder than a goth girl telling you no to a syrupy foot job under the table at a Denny's. When you interact with the symbol, your screen will flash white and the Ra perk will fire a laser at the obelisk, flashing 4 more symbols, one at a time, from bottom to top, and each symbol will correlate to a specific enemy type, and the symbols you get are random every time. I'm going to show you what every symbol looks like now and which enemy they correlate to. These symbols only appear for a second and then disappear, so you have to be quick to match the symbols you get to the enemies. So write these down to not forget. Basically, for example, if your 4 symbols were Tiger, Brawler, Poison, and Blight Daddy, you have to kill those enemies in that order, and if you do it out of order, you'll have to restart by flipping around and interacting with the initial symbol again. But if you did fail and do that, your symbols will change again, or they can stay the same if you're lucky. Let me make it very clear though, you can kill as many regular zombies as you want, those don't matter at all. And if you happen to get a fire zombie as one of your symbols, and it's his turn to die, but he explodes, the challenge will fail. You have to actually kill him. Now, if you're like me and have the Helion salvo, this is gonna suck and you may fail once or twice. I don't want to talk about it, so let's move on. If you kill your 4 enemies in the correct order, a white flash will happen across your screen and the 4 symbols will now be on the obelisk permanently. Now you have to do that for a second time, and the only thing that's different this time is there will be one specific symbol that was not shown in this picture, so if you see one that doesn't look like any of these, then it's going to be a Blight Daddy. And if you fail this time, you don't have to completely restart, you just have to restart from those previous 4. When you've killed all 8 of your enemies in the correct order, you can then move on to step 3. Before beginning step 3, whichever round you're on now, save a zombie. Go into spawn and interact with the podium at the center. You'll be teleported underground and you need to find 4 lightning rods sticking out of the ceiling, and here are the locations. There's going to be one in the flooded crypt outside this window, another one is going to be in the Odin tunnel inside this blown out wall, the third one is going to be in the collapsed tunnel in this hole in the wall, and the final one is going to be in the Danu tunnel in this overgrown entrance to the stairs. When you find all 4, you need to shoot the bottoms to get them to spin upward into the ceiling. After shooting each one, another little tower with a blue light on top will come out of the ground and push upward towards the ceiling. If you don't shoot the rod enough, it'll start to spin back down and the other tower won't start moving. Now you need to get the kilowatt ammo mod on your gun and come into the spawn area. There's going to be an outline of electricity on the ground in each one of the 4 quadrants, and you need to kill zombies with your kilowatt gun inside the half circles of electricity until the rod above you is glowing. It's pretty straightforward, but as a little heads up, if you kill a brawler or a gladiator inside any of the semicircles, it'll fill the rods 50%, so technically speaking, you can fill all 4 with only 8 special enemies. When all 4 have been filled up, a ball of electricity will appear above your reward podium, and all you have to do is interact with it and you'll be teleported to an alternate version of the spawn area. This is pretty easy. I'm not sure if it's time-based or kill-based, but basically you have an unlimited specialist ability as long as you're killing enemies here, and the only enemies that you're gonna find are mini-bosses. So basically, just keep running around trying not to die and killing things with your special ability. Eventually, a white flash will cover your screen and you'll be teleported back to the regular map, and at this point, we can move on to step 4. Each time you fully completed a step that I've listed, you've appeased a god, and so far we've appeased Danu, Ra, and Zeus. All we have left to do is appease Odin. So that's what step 4 is, and to start, save a zombie on whatever round you're on and come down to the area surrounding the temple. There's going to be 9 symbols that you need to find and make light up permanently by shooting them in a specific way with the wonder weapon, but you basically only have to hit a 3 and 1, so I'm only going to show you where 3 of the symbols are. I'm also going to show you where I shot those 3 to get all 9 to light up and stay lit up. This part of the Easter egg is pretty much trial and error. The first symbol is on the edge of the flooded crypt, and I'll let the video play out so you can see exactly where I shot. The second one is going to be in the pit near the blade trap, and if you stand in front of it and shoot a little bit to the right of the symbol, you should be golden. The third and final hole-in-one is going to be at the crypt in this hole in the wall, and again, I'll let the video play out because it's just kind of weird. You just kind of need to see it rather than hear it. After that, all 9 of them will be permanently glowing, and each time you're about to shoot a symbol, get Winter's Wail to freeze the zombie by letting the zombie hit you. Now, head into the pit and stand on this grate in front of the shield for about 10 seconds, and a white flash will happen once again. At this point, you'll be locked inside the pit and will have to go through 3 phases of enemies attacking you, and you have to kill everything in each phase before you can move on to the next. The first phase is easy, only having regular zombies, fire zombies, and tigers. The second phase is mostly mini-boss zombies, and the third phase literally just throws everything at you, including a Blight Daddy. Each time you finish a phase, a max ammo will spawn for you to pick up. Mission: survive. When you finish the third phase, pick up this key at the bottom of the grate and you'll be able to leave the pit. Now we're ready to do the boss fight, and to enter it, go back to the spawn area and interact with this portal across from the gate that you came out of originally. But before you do, make sure you're 100% set up. So if you do not already have all of your perks, go ahead and get those. Then get the Helion Salvo if you don't have it, and the Homunculuses, and a max ammo if you don't have any ammo. Whenever you're ready, enter the boss arena. This boss fight consists of 3 different phases. The first phase is an endless amount of tigers and mini-boss zombies. All you have to do is survive and kill everything that spawns for about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 4 max. Then phase 2 will start. Just a quick tip: throughout the boss fight, max ammos are pretty common, so I wouldn't worry about it all that much. Phase 2 will start with a giant zombie elephant spawning, and this elephant will have 3 giant red spots, one on each side and another one on its head. This elephant is going to be wearing armor, and you have to take it off, but the only way to do that is by shooting the 2 red spots on its side. And just a quick side note, if the elephant doesn't spawn in immediately after mini bosses stop spawning, just hang around the left side gate but not super close, and eventually the elephant will come out of the closet. The elephant looks scary but isn't. Just use the building in the middle to your advantage and stick by it so that way the attacks will collide with it and not you. Zombies will spawn during this, and this is why we have the homunculus, to attract those away. When you do get the elephant's armor to break off, then target the head of the elephant and eventually it will go down. The Helion Salvo is great for this because it does infinite damage, therefore taking the elephant out in no time. The third and final phase is another elephant that comes out of the gate on the right side, and again, if it doesn't come out relatively quickly, then just kind of hover around the gate and it'll eventually come out. Now just rinse and repeat to get the armor off the second elephant by shooting the red spots on the sides. Throw homunculuses to distract the zombies and use the building to block attacks. Once the armor is off the elephant, target the red spot on the head, and once that elephant goes down like a fat girl goes down on a hot dog, 10 seconds will pass pass and everything will despawn. Then after another 10 seconds, the cutscene will begin to play. For completing this Easter egg, you'll receive the achievement Venerated Warrior, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching this guide. I really do hope it helped you out, and I know I haven't been uploading for a long time, especially full-length videos. I've posted shorts here and there, but it does really mean a lot to me that you guys are seeing, at the very least, my shorts and then watching these videos. So I'm happy to say that I'm getting back on the horse slowly but surely. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Bye.